Επιτρέπετε να μου δω κάτω. Okay, so, σε ευχαριστώ. Επιστρέφουμε Ελλάδα, αλλά εγώ... I'm good with this, I'm good with this, thank you. Επιστρέφουμε Ελλάδα, but I'm going to speak in English because we should play to our strengths, and my strength is English, so I'm going to speak in English, and I apologize for the translators in the back there who might have to translate the whole thing into Greek. I could do it in Greek, but it'll be a terrible talk. So I'm going to focus on my strengths, and I hope that the teams that you advise going forward, you advise them to play to their strengths too. Can I ask how many people in the room are startup founders? Okay, so startup team leaders basically, right? Because that's what I'll be talking about today. I'm going to talk about what makes a great team and the symptoms of a bad team. Do I have a remote? Good. Thank you. Wow, it's quite a big remote. Okay, so how to avoid team hell. Let's quickly describe what great leaders look like and what great team members might look like. Of course, I'm no expert. I'm just a guy who's had a bit of experience being involved in the ecosystem since day one, with one or two others in the room, since 2007, 2006, somewhere there. So I'm an old man. Somebody in the room called me once the Papa Smurf of the ecosystem, which is a kind of fun thing. I think it was you, yeah? Yeah. So how to avoid team hell. It's not the biggest reason startup teams fail. It's the number 3 reason. The first reason is no market needs. Second reason, I forget what it was, but not the right team is the third reason. So it's around 24, 25% of startups fail because of a bad team. Okay. Great team leaders. Unfortunately, in new startup business, democracy does not work. Democracy is a wonderful thing in bigger industrial democracies, but it doesn't work when you're starting out and you basically need a benevolent dictator. Someone who loves what they're doing, someone who loves their team, exhibits love for everything, and expects love and value from everybody in return. So it doesn't work, especially in our DNA. We need dictators, unfortunately. Great leaders practice relentless meritocracy. Effectively, what they do is they fire. They fire the shitty team lead, the shitty people in the team, because otherwise they're just carrying dead weight. Of course, team leaders must have a great sense of urgency because that runway is running out. They need to take off, and they're going to hit the brick wall or fall into the swamp and drown or sink while they have no more resources. And of course, they want to make a big impact, which is a shared value of great team members, which is the last bit in that. They're ambitious go-getters. The team members are very ambitious. They've got great skills. And of course, they're not focused on one skill. I was at a talk the other day where I heard a great description of, the best type of people to hire, the people that have T-type personalities or T-type skills. So they don't have a depth of one specific. They have a great breadth of skills across the top. It's like a T level, right? So if you describe your skill set, it's more like a T. You have a broad knowledge of many subjects, and then you can dive deeply into one skill, so it looks like a T, right? So great team members are relentless truth tellers and truth acceptors. The relentless truth. If we're doing well, we celebrate that. If we're doing badly, we tell the truth. And of course, they're hungry and eager to make a big impact. So there's a great resource, a great book called The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team by a guy called Patrick Lencioni, which I urge you to read. It's a short book. It's written like a fable, so it's really awesome, really easy to read. And effectively, there are 5 elements of dysfunctional teams, or dysfunctions, and effectively the sicknesses or the symptoms that bad teams might have, beginning with the bottom layer, which is the absence of trust, followed by a fear of conflict, and we'll dive deeper into this because I have a little bit of time. A fear of conflict, which is the next layer, and above that the layer is a lack of commitment, which then leads to an avoidance of accountability, and the final top layer, which effectively leads to the death of the team or the death of the company, is the inattention to results. and we do what we can to survive. But I'll get to that at the end. So the absence of trust. If the team does not trust itself or does not trust the organization, nothing will ever happen of value. If the team leader doesn't trust the team, or even if the team leader is not forgiving enough, because it's essentially about forgiveness. It's about love, and it's about accepting failure, and it's about encouraging people to be open about their weaknesses. If you're not open about your weaknesses, then you can't accept help. And nobody's an expert in everything, because hopefully we're T-type people, and we have a broad knowledge. So a symptom of I'm not sure if that's readable at the back, but I'll just read through it very quickly. A symptom of absence of trust in teams is that personal weaknesses and mistakes are hidden, while competence, motives, and talent of others are downplayed. Now, while I describe these, just think if you can imagine an organization, a very large organization that we're all shareholders of. We're all shareholders of this large organization that perhaps exhibits some of these symptoms and could implement some of these cures.
You're talking about the Greek state, right?
I didn't say anything. I just asked if you can consider a large organization we're all shareholders of. So a hesitancy to help others or provide constructive feedback. It's about trust in failure. That if you fail, you're not going to be, how can I say that in English? You're not going to be in big trouble. The organization loves you and believes in you. They've invested in you.
It was better in Greek.
Say again?
It was better in Greek.
It was better in Greek. Okay. So I do have some better Greek. So the cures for the absence of trust is that we encourage teams to provide constructive feedback to the benefit of all of the team. Time and effort is focused on issues and not on politics, on solutions versus personal petty politics. Meetings are fun and satisfying. Meetings actually achieve something, and it's not just meetings with time-wasting morons. The second layer is the fear of conflict. The symptoms there, that meetings are boring and rife with petty politics, and there's a lot of backstabbing. It wasn't me, it was him. Did you hear that so-and-so said this about that? And all these kinds of things, we've all lived through them. Controversial issues are critical to successes are downplayed. Opinions and perspectives of some members are ignored or bypassed. I think you're getting closer to the organizations that I'm describing. Time is wasted posturing so as to shift blame. And of course, some of the cures for the fear of conflict is that we need to encourage live and entertaining meetings that make critical issues visible. And we try to solve problems quickly without having petty politics. So conflict, again, I mean, the ecosystem kind of knows me as someone in continuous conflict with everything around me. And I think I hope the ecosystem can understand that it's supposed to be a constructive conflict. It's there because I'm demanding of the rest of the ecosystem, and because I consider we are like almost some of us leaders in the ecosystem. I consider us to be a team, and we're working together towards the goal of improving this ecosystem. So if I'm ever in conflict with some of you, it's because I expect higher, and I hope you expect higher of me. So conflict in teams should be a constructive conflict, not a destructive conflict. I only have 1 minute.
Have you seen that in Greece?
Say again?
In the Greek startup?
I only have 1 minute, apparently.
Okay.
But I'll happily... Okay, you'll give me more time. I'm sorry, what is the question?
Did you see this constructive conflict in the Greek ecosystem? The
I
Greek startups, you have seen them in your...
I exercise constructive conflict.
Yeah. Okay.
So you can see it in me every day, Dimitri.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the teams and the companies and the ideas that you have seen.
I would like to see more of it in more startup teams that we host. For example, I mean, we had a team in the Cube recently. We still have them. They're a very, very big team, where the CEO was being a real dick to his team, but it was a constructive conflict. His question was, if this detail is not taken care of at the level it should be taken care of, why are we even doing this? Why should we even care? Why should we be speaking to our investors? Why should we be asking for more money from our investors if this little detail is not being taken care of to the level that I would like it to be taken care of? If you don't love what we're doing, then please ask me to replace you. that is a constructive conflict.
Okay.
We should be happy to be in conflict with the people in our team that we love because we want their success and we want our common success. So it's not a conflict in terms of, it's not a dog-eat-dog conflict so that we can rise above other people. It's more of a conflict where we help each other up and we give each other a lending hand, or we encourage people to do more and we expect more of them. Okay? So what effectively that leads to is a lack of commitment. If all of those previous things exist, there's no commitment in the team, I'm afraid. Okay? And the team ends up standing by idly. Opportunities come and go without them grabbing onto these opportunities and exploiting them. There's a lack of direction, there's ambiguity in the tasks. I'm not sure it's my job, I'm not sure it's his job, whose job is this? Cures to that, the team leaders need to curate clarity around the tasks, remove ambiguity, align the team around common objectives, and move really quickly. Same thing. Okay. Accountability, of course. We're all accountable to each other, and specifically in the team, we're accountable if we're going to achieve success. If there's no commitment, there's no courage of accountability. So you need courage to be able to be accountable. If I own this task, it's my task. If I own the success as the CEO of a company, then I'm accountable to the rest of you. That's, again, all around constructive conflict as well. And the bottom layer is trust. If there's no trust, there won't be any of the other things. Okay? So resentment festers. Encouragement of mediocrity places undue burden on those who care. You spoke about the Greek state. The statistics say that 2% of the Greek state is the effective element, and the 98% is the one placing undue duress on the rest of the team. If that happens in our startups, then we're doomed from the start. The cure. Poor performance are pressured. We pressure each other. We pressure the poor performance to provide a better performance. Problems are identified quickly through a free interchange of ideas and mentoring. We respect high standards. We have high values, which effectively leads in the end to the inattention of results. Nobody cares about what anyone's doing. Nobody cares about their bottom line. And the only thing they care about is their survival until they can jump ship. Effectively, what happens is that the great employees will then leave, jump ship, go to the next team where they can perform, where their ideas are accepted, and they can do better. Okay, so I have got a few more slides. Can I continue?
No, you don't.
No? I'm out of time.
You're out of time, but I really want to ask you a question. Okay, which are the biggest defaults that you have seen in the Greek startups in the last 6-7 years that you're here?
So a lot of the problems are around mentoring and about whether they are mentorable. Whether they are mentorable. I mean, too many of us think we know everything, and the first thing we should know is that we don't know everything. I think there's an ancient Greek that said that once upon a time.
He's laughing over here, and he knows that it's right.
So another great resource to look at is Rework. Google did a study where they studied 200 of their internal teams and found a lot of those similar things that I discussed earlier on. So do take a look at that URL as well. If you have any more questions, I'll happily take them. Otherwise, I will sit down.
I'm fine with that. Thanks very much.
Thank you all very much. Thank you.